Hi, I'm Elisa Casas. The Golden Podcast is an extension of my Instagram presence where, as an accidental influencer, I talk about vintage jewelry and share personal stories about my life in New York City. Join me and my guests as we explore, with humor and honesty, timeless topics about the female experience. Dating, relationships, work-life balance, aging, personal growth, fashion, travel, culture, food, sustainability, and of course, jewelry. Hey everybody, welcome to Golden with Elisa Casas. I'm Elisa, and today we're going to be talking about a subject that requires wine. Dating in New York City. And I'm here with Jelena. Jelena is a friend of my daughter, Ruby's, and Jelena's 31, I'm 60. And I started thinking that it was interesting how different dating is at 30 versus 60. So I thought I would have Jelena here to talk about it. As always, I am wearing jewelry that sort of represents the topic at hand, but I was at a real loss as to what represented dating. So what I decided to do is wear a representation of what I would wear on a date, which is a lot less extreme than what I would normally wear on an average day. I think, wearing a lot of diamonds or big chunky jewelry, or it's a little off-putting on a date. So I kind of try to tone it down a little bit. But I do want to remember who I am and where I came from. So one of the things that I do is wear this ring that has my initials, reminds me of who I am. And yeah, I'm wearing a big ass diamond bracelet because, no man's going to tell me what to wear. It's like, if I want to wear a big ass diamond bracelet, I'm going to wear it. So Jelena Tequila is here. Hi, Jelena.
Hi, everyone.
Can we, yes?
Cheers. Also known as Jelena Tequila throughout the streets of New York City.
So even though I'm 60 and you're 31, I know you have a lot more experience dating than I do. Like, I have not been single since I was 18. Yeah. With like maybe a few months in between where I had a couple of dates here and there.
And I've been putting in the work for both of us.
Yeah, exactly. And, I turned 59. I got divorced. All of a sudden, I'm like, I don't even know how to date.
On? Yeah.
I'm like, I've never been on a dating app. I don't even know which dating app. Everyone's like, you got to be on Raya. I'm like, okay, we'll talk about that later. Not my favorite.
Yep.
But I think it's really interesting that we're both dating and sort of looking for the same thing, but at the same time, it's a completely different experience.
Yes.
Young people, it seems really easy to meet people when you're young. You're at work, like you work in an office, you meet people in the office, you go out all the time, friends of friends. I mean, I'm sure there's a million ways that you meet people.
Totally.
IRL, in real life, as they say.
Yep.
But you're on dating apps, right?
Yes, I am, but I barely have to use them because in a city like New York, and like you said, you meet people I get set up all the time. And it's true, when you put it out there, when you tell someone, hey, I'm single and I'm looking, it comes back tenfold.
Really?
People come up to me out of the blue all the time. Someone at the cafe at work the other day said something to me. People at work, friends of friends, like you said, coworkers. It's just all over the place. When you put it out there, it will come back. And it's so different from dating apps.
It's so funny because for me, I have not put it out there. For me, I just feel like I don't even think I'm ready. Like, it's 2 years later and I still don't think I'm like really ready. And I forced myself to date like a year after the separation. So like a year ago, I was like, well, it's time. It's time for me to put myself out there. And I really just wanted to see what it was like. So I did Hinge and Raya. Remember when I couldn't get on Raya? You helped me get on Raya.
Send a referral, which is crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. Everyone's like, you got to be on Raya.
Yeah. Raya is the worst app out there.
It's the worst.
And it is the biggest con of dating apps because everyone says it's the best and it's the most exclusive and you find the best people and it is a complete sham.
Every guy is so full of himself.
Yep.
I don't even understand it. I've never gotten one date from Raya.
I've been on it for
people,
4 years and I haven't had one date.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I thought it was just me.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, I've matched with people, then they disappear, and then I see them a year later. Like, no one ever seems to meet anybody, but these guys are really full of themselves.
Yep.
And the thing that bothers me the most is everyone's trying to date up. So no one ever matches because everyone wants someone better than themselves.
They're looking for what's better. Who's hotter, who's cooler, who's smarter, who's more successful. Always, no matter what they get, they're looking for the next best thing. It's just the way it is now. And I think it's because of dating apps. Yeah. You have a million options a day, and then your brain becomes rewired and conditioned. I even notice it too, even though I'd like to think I'm not that shallow, but you're swiping through and you're like, okay, but only if this guy seems great, but only if he was a little taller. If I keep swiping, I'll find someone who's like him, but they're taller. So you're trying to like manufacture the perfect combination of things.
That's the biggest problem with dating
it's at your
apps.
disposal.
It's like a list of traits.
Yeah.
But you can't get the essence of the person.
Totally.
Like, I don't want to date someone who's short, but I've dated short guys in the past, and I've been in love with a couple of short guys.
And if you met them in real person, you wouldn't even notice that they were short sometimes.
If you meet them in real life, you don't even notice.
Exactly.
But it's like you're forced.
But why would you sign up for a date when you know they're short online?
Right.
Versus in person, you would.
You're forced to have like a list of characteristics that's kind of like, you know, deal breakers that you're not willing to go out with a guy unless he's 5'8" or above. Like, it's crazy. It's a crazy way of trying to meet your soulmate.
It's changed everything. And I've noticed too that I think in the last few years, since it's really exploded, especially in New York and during COVID as well, I noticed that men and women, they know that they're going to go home that night and swipe through and have a million conversations, and it fills a void for you, right?
Yes,
for some time being.
Especially for men.
Totally. And then you feel like you've done your work. Everyone's aware who's single, who's actually trying to date, that they need to put effort and energy towards it.
Right.
So that fills that void so that when they happen to be out, even if there's someone that doesn't go out a lot, if they're just at a friend's birthday, at a work event or something, at a bar, and they find themselves, they don't put in the energy that I feel like people in your generation when they were my age used to, because they know it doesn't matter, even though that girl's cute or that guy's cute, I'm going to go home and I'll have 50 options.
They're sitting at a bar on their phone.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the part that I don't even understand.
It's changed everything. Yeah.
Everyone's always on their phone.
Right.
And you know, there's a lot of talk about the lack of intimacy. Like, a lot of people are so used to being on their phone and so used to like swiping and all, like, it's almost like they've forgotten how to be human or how to just meet someone in an organic way.
I find myself on a plane all the time. As you know, I love to travel. In a restaurant, I have all these moments. I am very independent where I am alone and I'm sitting next to someone that I find cute who's around my age, and they're swiping. And I'm like, if you would just look up, not that I'm the hottest girl in the world per se, but like if you would look up, you could have a connection with me versus going through the app while you're sitting next to me for sometimes 10 hours on a plane.
So what is that?
Yeah.
Like, what's the psychology of that? It's just habitual? It's just like...
I think it's habitual. It's instant gratification. I think it's the trend. Once everyone got on it, it's the way to do it.
Right.
But I will say I'm hopeful. You've always got to be hopeful. I think it's going to change. I think people are getting sick of it.
Yeah.
People are starting to acknowledge they're getting sick of it, and they're making more of an effort. And so what that means is committing to going out once a week or putting yourself out there or saying yes to things that you wouldn't normally say yes to. But I think what's really important, I've thought a lot about this, is women especially, right? They decide that they're ready, right? Like, you might in a month wake up and say, I'm finally ready.
Right.
And then they say, because they put their best foot forward, I got to put energy towards it. And what does that look like? If it's not the apps, then it's got to be putting myself out there, and it's got to be saying yes to more things. But then they're saying yes to things that they weren't saying yes to before with this overwhelming energy towards, it's because I hope I meet someone.
Right.
And I think that just ruins everything.
You know, it's really funny because my ex-therapist, Esther Perel, she did this podcast.
Excuse me, Esther Perel, like the best known women's
You know, she was my therapist.
Relationship therapist. Yeah.
You know, she was my
yeah, I know. I
therapist.
just couldn't let that slide.
I mean, not recently, but this was like, she was my first therapist like 14 years ago.
Right, before she really exploded.
Right before.
Yeah,
like, her first book had just come out. Like,
It's
I didn't
crazy.
even think she was going to agree to see me.
She's incredible. She's
But
brilliant.
she has a podcast, which I never listened to, but I guess I saw something on Instagram. I follow her on Instagram, and I saw this podcast that was about this woman who was in her 30s, and she really wanted to meet someone, but she just couldn't make the connection. And I listened to the podcast, and the thing that I took from it, Esther said to her, at one point she says, I just feel like I'm wasting my time. I'm on these apps and I go out on these dates and nothing ever happens. And Esther said, if you were at a bakery online and you struck up a conversation with an elderly woman behind you and you had a nice conversation and then you ordered your, bagel, whatever. She said, would you think that was a waste of time? And the woman said no. And she's like, think of it like an experience. It's not about meeting your soulmate. Right. You might just have a nice conversation. Mm-hmm. One of the guys that I dated, I ended up being friends with him.
Right.
So you never really know what's going to happen. And if you think of it just like, you know what, I'm just going to meet someone new and have a conversation and maybe it'll be fun. If you think of it that way and not like, is this the guy? And then you meet him and it's not the guy. And you're like, oh, it was a waste of time. I mean, what is really a waste of time? Like if you think about life, what is really a waste of time? Because anything can lead to something else, give you some kind of, insight or whatever.
Makes you realize what you like, what you don't like.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was getting at.
That was really helpful to me.
Right.
It was really helpful to me. So my dating experience has been very interesting. Well, the first thing I want to say is the people that I met in real life were so much more promising than the people I met online. So many of the guys that I met online, on paper, they were great.
Perfect, yeah.
They were great. They, newly divorced, had kids, they had good jobs, whatever. And then you meet them and you're like, no, like he's a nice guy, but it's too much. But my overarching experience is that so many of the guys that I met were newly divorced. They had been married for 25 years. Their kids went off to college. They looked at their wife and they were just like, we have nothing in common anymore. And they had to sort of rebuild their lives and they were lost. And they often say that like women do a lot better in divorce because they have support. They're very close with their children. They have a lot of friends, and men are just kind of like, they don't know what to do. So I can't tell you how many guys that I dated were like,
lost puppies.
They had a beautiful house in Westchester and a beautiful wife and two perfect children and a good job and whatever. And then they got divorced. And they're living in a studio apartment in Hudson Yards, trying to keep their relationship with their children because the wife was the one who always made the plans. And like, all I want is someone who has their life together. Like, I understand transition and I understand that divorce is difficult, but, I just want someone that, like me, who's like, knows who they are, like, has a life, not looking for a life, not figuring out their life. Because I'm sorry, but at 60, you shouldn't have to figure out who you are.
You should know who you are.
So that's something that I think is very different than dating at your age. I mean, the guys that you meet, are they looking to get married? Are they like, what are they like? So generalizing. I know we're generalizing here.
Of course. And I do think it's very different. I think it's so funny to hear you say that they're, lost, because I'm at the dating stage where everyone I meet is lost. They haven't gone. Your men that you're meeting, your pool is, they've figured out maybe 3 iterations of themselves, and now they're trying to figure out a 4th, and they're a lost puppy.
Right.
Whereas for me, they are starting to realize that they want to figure out who they want to be and what they want, right? And so in New York especially, men can stay. It's wild, the amount of men that can stay 24 for like 30 years.
Yeah.
And I do think there's a Sex and the City reference that men are like cabs, right? That the women are like cabs for men. And when they're ready, they hail. And then when there's an open one, they get in and they take it.
They say that. They say that women marry for love and men marry when they're ready.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I think I'm meeting a lot of guys that are very, and of course there's the biological aspect of it too, but that are very like, I've got my group of friends. I act like a frat bro. I'm even 35, 40, and I can still act like this because I just get in the routine, and New York allows you to be like that forever until one day I decide. They're not worried about it. They're not stressed. They're living their life. They're meeting plenty of girls because there's more available girls than there are men, right? And so they're meeting tons of girls, and they're not stressed. And so I think it's interesting because they don't know what they're doing. They don't have any plan ahead, and they also don't even know what kind of girl they're looking for, right? So they don't know to value when they find a good one. Whereas I would hope at your age that when they meet someone like you who has their shit together, who's been through all these life changes and still is able to survive them and maintain their own characteristics and their own, morals and everything, that they value that and they hold on to that.
Well,
would you say so, or?
No, I find that everyone's very ambivalent, and I'm ambivalent. So I kind of understand.
You almost have
that.
to be sometimes, right?
Yes, but
survive.
But the ambivalence prevents you from making the connection. Like listen, I have a great life. I don't need a man. I have a beautiful apartment. I have a good career. I have a ton of I have a full life. So in a way, it's like, unless some great guy comes along, like,
that will add to it.
Right.
Yeah.
What do I need it for? So there's all this ambivalence. It's like, do I really want to spend 2 hours on Raya right now, swiping through people that I know I'm never going to match with, or I'm never going to meet? Like, it just feels like a chore, and it makes you just want to take a step back and say, which I did. I took a step back because I realized I started dating too early. And at first I was like, is it the guys or is it me? And then after 15 dates, I was like, I think it's me, because they were all really nice. They weren't for me, but they were all really nice. And for me, it was just like, I wasn't ready, and that's when I took a step back and I said, you know what? I'm going to wait till I'm ready. If some great guy comes along, that's a whole different story, but I'm just going to wait, and I'm fine. I'm fine on my own. And when it happens, or if it happens, that's when it's going to be.
Right.
I mean, do you have that attitude, or do you feel like pressure, from society, from your family? Do you feel like, I'm 31, I need to find my person, I want to have a baby? Do you feel that pressure?
I feel that, again, back to New York City. In New York City, I think that you can slide by without having that pressure.
You're not an anomaly. It's like everyone's single. Everyone's going out every night.
And you're working towards your career and strengthening your relationships with your family and your friends. And you have so much going on. You're filming a podcast. The next night you're at an art gallery. It just goes on and on. So I don't feel that pressure. I think it's funny because I'm starting to get to that ambivalence that you're talking about, where I've put that pressure on myself in my late 20s, where I was like, okay, it's not happening. Let's go. And then I kind of relax, and it's the best thing. I can't even tell you how, but I kind of was like, all right, this isn't working when I put this much focus and energy and beat myself up about it.
Right.
So let me take a step back and focus on all these other things in my life. And men trickle in. They do. Once you have that attitude.
Well, that's what
but you
happens.
Can't force it, right?
You have to just live your life.
You have to. You have
just
to
live your life in the best way you can, and things happen or they don't happen. But you have to be happy.
Yeah.
You have to be happy with what you have.
You have to,
or you're never gonna be able to let someone in. You know?
And my mom. It's funny you ask about pressure from my family, because I'm originally Croatian, as you know. My parents are Hicks that grew up in villages in small Croatia, which has 4 million people. And, the story of a lifetime, they were able to bring us to America. And I grew up in the complete opposite city of cities in Croatia. But they grew up very traditional, right? They were married. My mom was 21 when they got married. Yeah. They had a kid a year later. Very traditional. And so when they had their children, that's the expectation they had. They bring us to America and they say, you're going to marry Croatians. And I'm like, where? How? And all you can do is marry Croatians. That's all that's allowed. And then it's been fascinating to watch the shift, because for years, for both my brother's older, so for years, for both of us at the dinner table, it was like, you have to get married, you have to get kids, you have to do it soon, you have to, marry a Croatian. And then there's been this complete shift, I would say, in the last 5 years, where it's, the conversations have switched to, instead of get married, I want grandkids, to it's very important who you choose as your life partner. Right. And, we wouldn't want to have to deal with some schmuck right now. And, so they're becoming more and more aware that simply these days, I think, dating is so fickle, and it is hard to meet like a life partner the way it's very different when you grow up in a small country, in a small town, where your reputation is on the line, right?
Yeah.
And you can't really fuck around because everyone's going to know about it. And then they're kind of just going to outlaw you from the group, or from the friend group, or from the family, or whatever. So I think they're starting to realize that it is really hard, and that, I shouldn't rush into anything, and that I should pick wisely. And so now I don't have that pressure, right? Which is really, really nice. But I think that, societal pressure is always there. Biological pressure is always there. But,
I feel pressure. I honestly do.
We all do. We all do. But the best advice that my mom actually gave me recently was, she said, you know what? In 5 years, you might be married with kids, and you're going to look back and you're going to be so upset that you spent those glorious, gorgeous, or late 20s, early 30s years worried about when it was going to happen and who you were going to meet. And so I've amplified that mindset, and that's how I live. And I'm just like, I'm going to enjoy, and it's meant to be. It's meant to be.
I know so many women who like had kids on their own, who just like made the decision, like, you know what, I'm 35, I'm 38, whatever, I'm just going to do this on my own. And, women are making more money. More women than men go to college, more women than men are in medical school. Like it's just it's a different time.
Totally different.
And women have a lot of options. I mean, in a way, men have less options than women, And I don't know. I just feel like, when you can do something on your own, when there's no pressure. I mean, women used to just get married because they thought they had to get married, and they would just marry the first person that came along. Right. And sometimes it was okay, but most of the time it was not okay.
Right.
Women don't do that anymore.
Nope.
And if having a kid is the goal, you can have a kid on your own now.
Exactly.
It's really, and I know a lot of people who have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I feel pressure just from myself. Like, I just feel like 60, single, it's weird. You go out with like married couples, you feel kind of like the third or fifth wheel. I don't let it get to me. I've only been divorced for a year. Like, it's not like it's been like decades, but it bothers me. Like, I have always been in a relationship, and I never thought in a million years that I would be divorced at 60. My life, like, I had a plan. Like, I didn't like plan it, but in my head it was like going the way I planned it. And all of a sudden, you're like, wait a second, like, I'm supposed to like find someone to fall in love with. Like, what are the chances of that happening at my age? And everyone's like, oh, you're gonna meet someone, it's no big deal. But whenever you break up with someone, you never think you're gonna meet someone, right? No one does. You think, that's it, that was the love of my life, it's never gonna happen. And
it's a vulnerable spot to be in. Yeah.
And what my therapist said to me was, but the pattern of your life is you always have met someone, and you thought that, and you were wrong. So why would you think this is any different?
And why would you spend the time worrying about it now? Yeah.
Right. And I don't want to spend the time worrying about it. I just want to like live my life, do like I have a great life, enjoy it, and not worry, because worrying doesn't help anything. And but you can't help but wonder, and I'm sure you do too, like, well, is this in the cards for me, or am I going to be that person that's just going to have to figure out how to be on my own for the rest of my life?
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, the guys that I met have all been really nice, and that's helped me, because my ex-husband had issues, and I'm like, maybe they all have issues, maybe they're all like him. And now I'm like, no, like, these guys were like,
there's good guys out there.
They're really good guys,
Yeah.
And a couple of them I sort of dated for short period of time, but like more than one date, right? Like 4 or 5 dates. But they just weren't for me, They just weren't.
It wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of the process too, right? Is getting out there and seeing what's out there, seeing what you like and what you don't like. Because it's been a while since you've been on the dating scene, right?
I mean, it's been 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So it's just like a learning groove all over again.
I know.
which I've been in for quite a while. So,
So tell me a couple of your crazy stories.
well, as you know, I have quite a few.
Yes, you do.
They really range. I'm thinking there is one I want to tell you about is that happened this year. So, as you know, I'm always out and about and I'm meeting people organically. I never thought this would happen, but I am set up all the time. People reach out to me. Mm-hmm. But I never thought I'd be set up by my own mom. So this was unique. My mom, who lives in Croatia most of the time, and I go to Croatia often, but she was doing some new business. She's in consulting, and she met a man my age through business. So she was a 60-year-old woman, same age as you, working with this 30-year-old man for about a year. And so they're doing business lunches, they're going to business meetings, they're working in person all the time. And about 8 months in, she says, "Hey, listen, I think I have a guy for you." And I'm like, please.
Oh my God.
Like, absolutely not.
When your mom says that to you,
exactly.
You're like, yeah, right.
I'm like, absolutely not. But she pushes and she pushes and she's like, "Listen, I have been hanging out with this guy for 8 months now. He is all the right things. He's polite. He's handsome. He's successful. He's smart. I really think you guys would hit it off." And I said, "No, just absolutely not. I don't believe you. Absolutely not." This crazy woman gives my number to him. And this poor guy texts me and he's like, "Hey," let's call him Johnny, right? He's like, "Hey, it's Johnny. Your mom gave me your number." Oh so God. Cute, so awkward. I'd love to meet you next time you're in Croatia. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so awkward. So I have
next
to answer
time you're in Croatia.
Yeah, I know. Okay. I'm like, this is across, the globe. This is crazy. So we kind of text for a little bit. We make conversation. I'm just trying to appease my mom. And then I go to Croatia 2 months later. And she sets up sneakily for him to join us for coffee. My God, first day in Croatia.
It's hilarious.
So he comes and we meet and, we hit it off. She was right. I was intrigued. And, we're like looking at each other. But, my mom's right there. So it's hilarious because we're two 30-year-olds in Croatia. He works with her. And
so
she's
she
kind
like
of
chaperone the date?
Exactly.
Okay.
She chaperoned the date. And it turns into the wildest story that I would have never imagined. So I'm going into it. I'm like, the man lives in Croatia. I live in New York. What can come of it? We'll just meet, whatever. We end up I was there for 5 days. We spent every day together. He shows up the next day to my family apartment with a case of the best Croatian wine on the market. Okay. And he basically woos me. It was like out of a fairy tale. There's roses. There's cases of wine. There's fancy dinners. He buys a table at a club for us. And when I said I didn't like the champagne, he buys us a bottle of tequila. Hello, Jelena Tequila. I mean, first mistake, but whatever. And so we have this whirlwind romance, and I just give into it because I'm like, whatever, my mom approves, so I think I'm good to go. And we have this whirlwind romance for 5 days. And then I go back to New York, and we stay in touch. We're talking every day for about a month, and all of a sudden, this was last November. So all of a sudden, it's Christmas time, and he's like, "Do you have plans for New Year's?" I'm like, "Actually, for the first time in a while, I don't. Do you know? Should we do something?" And I'm like, wow, this is romantic, right? Yes, let's plan a trip. He's like, "I'll pay for all of it." I'm like, yes, please. So where do we go? We're like, well, we want to go to a beach. Where can we? So that rules out most of Europe for New Year's. And it's funny from Croatia. So then it's like the Caribbean or the Middle East. Caribbean takes like 20 hours from Croatia with all the layovers and connections. And we somehow land on Dubai. The Middle East.
The farthest place that you can go.
14 hours from New York, 6 hours from Zagreb, the capital of Croatia.
Oh my God.
And so we land on Dubai, and on a whim, we book it like 2 weeks in advance. And so I'm flying to Dubai with this man that I only spent 5 days with, right? So he books a hotel, he books all these excursions, and we plan for 6 days in Dubai. We get to Dubai, and we celebrate New Year's. Everything's great. Everything's fine. It's not awkward. And night 2, we're going to sleep. It was the night after New Year's. And, we say goodnight. I think it was maybe like 1 a.m. Around 3 a.m., I'm woken up.
Give me a little of your wine.
You're going to need it for this story.
Okay. Yes, I need it.
I'm woken up, and he's tapping my shoulder. And, there I am in my sexy little nightie because I'm like doing an overnight with this guy. And I sit up and I'm like, is he trying to like initiate some sexy time? It's 3 a.m. and it's pitch black. And he's like, "Can you turn on the light? Can you turn on the light?" I'm like, okay, like, sure. If you want to see everything in the light. Okay. So turn on the light. His face is white.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, "What's wrong?" And he's like, "I don't know. Something is wrong. I don't feel good." And I'm like, okay. So I feel him up. He's like burning up.
Oh my God.
And I'm like trying to cool him down. And all of a sudden he starts projectile vomiting.
Oh my God.
All night long. Okay. And
what do they call that? The ick factor?
Yeah, the ick factor. Yeah,
Doesn't get worse than
there
that.
I am in my little nightie, and I'm running back and forth from the bathroom in the bed,
my God,
and I'm like cooling him down. What I will say though, in these modern hotel rooms, they always have those open bathrooms. Thank the Lord that Dubai is behind in that aspect, and we had a fully closed bathroom. They even had a speaker system that he could turn the music on. So here he is playing like punk, like Mr. Brightside at max volume because he doesn't want me to hear him vomiting. This lasts about 10 hours.
Shit.
I think he threw up about 40 times. And at 7 a.m. when the pharmacies open, I went out in my robe and slippers and crossed the major highway. And all these men were honking. They're like, who's this crazy white lady in her robe? And I went and I got Pedialyte and all these things. Anyways, so we survived that, right? And in the moment, you're just like, you're not even grossed out. You're just like, I have to survive this, right? You're sleep deprived. You're like, this poor man, I'm helping him out, whatever. And I think it was like 11 a.m. now or something, or maybe like noon. And he's like, I think I'm done. I think I'm good. I'm like, great. Thank God I haven't gotten sick. Awesome. Let's lie down and sleep for a little and then we'll, figure it out in a few hours and see how you're doing. We lie down, I kid you not, 10 minutes after my stomach starts grumbling and I start having explosive diarrhea.
Oh my God.
In the same bathroom that he just had explosive vomit for 10 hours. So now I'm having explosive diarrhea. What I will say is always bring wet wipes no matter where you go because, I went through those.
I do because of the junk pile.
Yep. And so now he's trying to take care of me, but he's like a shell of a human because he's been vomiting for 10 hours. We get through me diarrheaing for like 8 hours.
Oh my God.
We're so sick that we end up calling the concierge and we're like, bring us food. We don't know what to do. And he called the hotel doctor and we have a picture of us lying in bed holding hands and there's an IV in each of us.
Jelena.
Because we had to get these treatments, we had to get antibiotics. Long story short, we ended up getting norovirus and salmonella poisoning at the same time. From a Michelin-starred sushi meal that we had at the Bulgari Hotel on New Year's Eve.
Wow.
So insane story because he was trying to impress me and he booked all of this and we're in like this Lamborghini convertible that he rented to impress me and we're going to the Bulgari Hotel.
He rented a Lamborghini convertible for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And let me just say he did not get action after that.
Right.
And yeah, it was, quite the experience. So needless to say, we didn't really experience much of Dubai. We were in bed for basically the rest of the trip. And then last day comes and we muster up the energy to go to, I think, a museum. And then we went to, we drove to the desert, like half an hour away. It was close. And we were like rode a camel for half an hour just to say that we did something in Dubai. And we're finishing our last night. And I'm like, you know what? This makes you stronger, right? If you're not grossed out, if you're still able to go through this, we went through literally the worst thing that could possibly happen at the beginning of a romantic endeavor. Then maybe we're meant to be, because we're like, fine. And he makes a comment to me. He says, so, this was really fun. Sucks that we got sick. I guess I'll see you. This is January. And he says, I guess I'll see you like in June or something when you come back to Croatia. And I'm like, June? How do you go through all this and pursue someone and not see someone for 6 months, right? Later, when I told my brother, he said, I have one word for you, diarrhea. And, I do think you can survive some crazy experiences and still be okay. But I think it's just another example of how, like fickle dating is these days, that you're allowed to change your mind no matter what in this, like in a heartbeat.
Do you think if that didn't happen, he would have felt the same way? Or do you think it was just the experience was such a turnoff and difficult that he couldn't handle it?
I don't think it was that much of a turnoff because, he still pursued me sexually after that.
He did.
Yes,
Okay.
he did.
Okay.
But I think that it wasn't meant to be. I just don't think it was meant to be. And it was this crazy story. And then, it was maybe like quickened by the situation. But yeah, that was a pretty crazy story. Yeah.
So can we... I'm like floored. Okay.
Yeah.
So
so I gave it a try and then we both got really sick.
What about a more typical situation?
Like in New York,
date?
let's say.
Yeah, a New York, like you went on a date, either it was crazy bad or it was crazy good and then he ghosted you or whatever.
Yeah, I have plenty of those. One that comes to mind is, and I don't think you've heard this one. This is kind of recent. I was at a restaurant, again, just meet people out, and the restaurant owner is a good friend, and she says to me, hey, I'd like to set you up. And actually I have, it's a crazy, she's like, I have this guy that I've met. He's Croatian. He's successful. He lives in the city. He's similar to you. You know, you'll connect on those backgrounds. I want to set you guys up.
Parents would be happy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, this is great. If I can make a Croatian work, that would be amazing. So she shows me photos of him, and he's very handsome. And I say, but just tell me one thing. Is he cocky? Is he full of himself? Because that, I think, matters the most to me. And she said, no, he's so sweet. We do business with him. And he helps us with some stuff. And I said, great, set it up. So we have a date. It goes great. We have a second date. It goes great. On the second date, he tells me, you know, like, I'm really looking for something serious. He's a few years older than me, and I'm looking to settle down. So if that's not what you're looking for, you know, let me know. And I'm like, wow, that's like a unicorn in this city, right?
I was going to say, that's what every girl wants to hear.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, music to my ears. So I'm like, wow, okay, I should take this guy seriously. And we set up a third date, and, you know, he drops me at home, and he drives a car in the city, which I don't know if you should ever trust a guy that has a car in the city. But he drops me off, and we plan the third date. The very next day, by chance, and this is why New York is so, so entertaining, I get asked by my boss to purchase a table at a new club on the Upper East Side to schmooze some investors. We had just let go of our investor relations person. It was a super unique scenario. So I'm going to this club, and I'm buying this table, and I see the guy that I was set up with at the club.
Wow.
Let's call him Nick. And I come up to him, I'm like, hey, coincidence, whatever. And I come up to the table, and it seems like a double date. But I don't assume.
Okay.
And I'm like, hey, how's it going? What's going on? And we start talking. And then I say to him in Croatian, because the girl's not Croatian, just let me know. Is this a date? And he goes, are you kidding? How could it be a date? He starts yelling at me. And he's like, I told you that I'm looking for something serious. My friend's trying to get with the girl. So she brought a friend. I'm just entertaining her. And I'm like, okay, sure. Could add up, right? And we're talking. And he's like, I'm going to the bathroom. And he goes to the bathroom. And the girl says, come sit next to me. I'm like, okay, like, how's it going? She's like, so you guys are speaking your own language. You guys are maybe like friends from childhood. I go, uh-huh. And she goes, so what do you think of him? I'm like, oh, yeah, he's great. She goes, so this is our first date. We met on Raya. I love girls. Yeah. Girls are great. Yeah. So what do you think? Should I give him a try? And I'm like, wow. And she's like, and he drives a Porsche. And I'm like, girl, I was in that Porsche. Make it out with this guy twice.
Yesterday. Yeah.
Twice this week and yesterday, but thanks. And she's like, we could drop you off at home later. I'm like, absolutely not. Am I getting in the back seat like the child of this first date with this guy that's, you know, trying to seriously date me? And so she tells me everything, and, you know, everything happens for a reason. Wow. And that was really, really, I think,
did you ever confront him or say anything to him?
And so when he came back from the bathroom, I kind of gave him a chance to tell me again, and he yelled at me again. And then at the end, I ended up like going to the table, and I had my business to do, my schmoozing. But later, she came up to me again, and it was hilarious because she really wanted to hang out with me. And then she said to me, I don't really feel good with this guy. Would you mind? Would you want to come with us to the next spot?
Ah, that's so cute.
So I almost did it, but I was like, you know what? I can't entertain this. So at the end, you know, I just said, like, please don't reach out to me ever again. And I walked away. It was like a very Sex and the City movie moment. I just walked away, and I never looked back, and he never reached out again. Isn't that crazy?
You know, it's fascinating to me that, like, what was his motivation? First of all, exactly. It wouldn't have been so weird if he was dating and also dating you. It would,
and whenever
that happens
on
in the beginning of a relationship.
He's allowed.
Right. Like, you don't have anything exclusive. He's allowed. But the lying part of it,
exactly.
Like he's lying before you even have a relationship. What is this guy going to do if you're in a relationship?
And I'm a girl in New York City. I go out all the time. Trust me, I know what's going on. If he had just said, listen, it is a date, maybe I had it set up before I met you or something.
Big deal. You wouldn't have cared.
I would have completely understood.
Right.
It's fair game.
Right.
But I also think it is, back to our point about, you know, options. You meet someone and you align with them in so many ways, right? Like he said to me, you know, we align in the fact that we're both Croatian. We have these family values. We have this and that. So many things in common.
Right.
You would think it's almost like kismet. It's perfect.
Right.
It's meant to be. Why not? It's 1 week in. Why not
Right.
put your energy towards it? Why see what other options there are?
I
And that's the world we live in. You're always looking for better.
I
right?
dated this guy who I met him on Hinge, and we had a date at the bar on the corner, and he was French Italian, so he had like a European vibe, which I like because
Yes.
my family's European. And he was super cute. He was incredibly charming to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm thinking there's red flags because he's French, he's a restaurateur, and he's super charming. Like, it's gotten to the point where like those things are bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
yeah.
like, you know what kind of guy I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But like, he was really nice, and we had a great first date. And he texts me a week later. He's like, or whatever, not a week later. He texts me the next day. He's like, I had a great time. I want to see you again. I said, I had a great time also. A week later, he's like, what are you doing tonight? And I was like, oh, I actually have plans tonight. And I didn't want him to be turned off, like I wasn't interested. So I was like, I would love to see you again, but I'm sorry, I've had these plans for a while.
We'll plan
whatever.
something else, right?
A week later, text me again. What are you doing tonight? And I was like, so by the third time, I'm like, I would say it's a booty call, but like nothing happened between us. So like, what is this? Like, why can't he call me a couple of days in advance? Like one time it was 4 p.m. and he was like, can you meet me at 6? I'm like, what? So after the third time, that was it. I just never heard from him again. Now, I made it a point to tell him I was interested. But how do you explain that he just, like, what was he, you know,
Yeah.
what's going on? Like, is he married? Like, I Googled him. I Google everyone. I do not have a date with someone unless I Google them. And I can find someone, I'm not kidding, by their first name. I'm on Hinge.
You're
the guy's
professional.
name is John. I can find that guy.
Yes.
I can find him by the photo. I can
Smart.
find him by a phone number. I can find him by his like his job, whatever it is. Like, I find these guys because you need to do that. You need to know what you're dealing with.
the information's
you
out
know?
there.
So he wasn't married. He everything he told me was the truth. There was nothing weird, you know. But I don't know. I don't like you like someone enough, but not enough to make a date in advance. Like,
Right.
I'm not really
Everything had to be
clear.
on his schedule.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, there's all kinds of stuff like that, you know. Another guy I went out with, like, I knew this guy was not like right, but like, I'm very polite. I'm always polite, like, and I'm just trying to look at it like an experience, like Esther says. And you know, at the end of the night, he's like, I really want to see you again, blah blah blah. And I was like, you know, you're trying to like finesse it. You don't want to say like, no, I don't want to see you again. You know, I get home, he texts me, did you get home okay? Whatever, I want to see you again. And I'm thinking, when he texts me tomorrow to make a second date, like, I'm going to have to tell him, like,
I'm not feeling
never texted me. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's the Wild West out here.
What is that? But what, I'm the kind of person, like, I would never ghost someone.
Right.
Like, what is so hard about sending a text saying, I had a great time, but I don't think we're a match. I had a
Nothing.
great time, but I don't think that we would go anywhere. You know,
Yeah.
like, why is that so hard for people?
I just
Men
think-
and women, by the way. I'm not
Right.
blaming men. Why is that so hard? Just to say, listen, it was nice meeting you, but I don't want to go out again.
Right. I think it goes back to the options, and everyone's so fatigued from constantly communicating with a million people that I've had people say to me, I say, oh, should I let this guy know that I'm not interested? No, he'll get the picture
He'll
once
get
you don't.
the- he'll get the- yeah.
No, saying nothing or no response is the response. And I'm like, but where's the decency? And I think it just goes back to, we are so fatigued and so exhausted from having to communicate with a million people and talking and figuring out how to tell a million people that we want to go on a date with them, or a million people that we're not interested, that now it's just become lazy. lazy.
Right.
It's like you're so overwhelmed by all the notifications on top of friends and work and family that now figuring out the right way to tell a person that potentially might lose it or, have some bad repercussions that you're not interested in them then becomes so overwhelming that you just leave it. And then it's back to like ambivalence and no connection and being aloof.
Like I said, I understand the ambivalence because I feel ambivalent, but
I get it.
But like, I wouldn't be ambivalent if the right guy came along. Like, I would be the opposite of ambivalent, So I understand ambivalence because it's draining. It takes all your energy to be on these sites and to go out all the time and to meet people and go on first dates. Like, yes, it's exhausting, but you wouldn't feel that way if it were the right guy. You know what I mean? So why do people even do it? Like, I just see the same guys on Hinge and Raya all the time. They're not meeting anybody.
Well, I had that thought too, but then I realized maybe because there's been times when I've deleted apps and then re-downloaded them and things like that. Maybe they went through a relationship and it failed after 6 months, so now they're back on it and we don't know their timeline. So I think some of it's just reoccurring as well. Right. You have to consider that, just like I go on and off. But I do think the ones, you're right, like a lot of them are just on the app and they never get off the app because they're just so used to having all the options.
Right. I have met a lot of people, but I think one of my problems is my age, because I'm not willing to lie about my age.
Nor should you.
Like, I mean, like, I can't imagine. And I've read articles about women who like lie about their age because they want a younger guy or whatever. It's like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
So I put my age, and I really, just the way that like we're saying like, oh, if he's not like taller than 6 feet,
Yeah.
Same thing. It's like they see my age and they're like, oh no. But that's why I meet every guy that I meet in real life is younger. They think I'm younger. So like, I'm meeting 50-year-old guys. I don't even want a 50-year-old guy. I just want a guy my age, But I meet younger people in person because
who might not have agreed to a date with you on an app if they saw your age, but then love you in person.
Exactly.
It's so silly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's all these factors, and it's just exhausting. Like, I can't like figure out. The only thing that I figured out is to just take a step back and just be like, you know what? I'm just going to give this some time. I want to be ready. I want to feel good. I can't be swiping. It's the swiping, I'm on my phone all the time already for my business.
Yeah.
I don't want to be on my phone for like trying to find my soulmate. Like, it's a bizarre way to find someone.
Yeah.
So I'm just like trying to do my own thing. I'm jealous that you do a lot of like independent traveling and stuff, because I haven't really had to do that.
It's a great way to meet people. It forces you to meet people.
It forces you to meet people. I've heard that. Like,
and I think just being out, independent dining, that's something you can do anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Sitting alone at the bar, you meet so many people. You talk to the bartender, they're kind of forced to talk to you. Then they set you up with someone. I think restaurants are amazing. That's where to go, I think. Just dining alone. And it reminds me, I have another story for you.
Okay.
If we have time.
Of course we do.
That same friend that runs a restaurant that set me up with this previous guy, what do we call him, Nick, also then the months later said to me, I want to set you up with someone else. Do you trust me? And I was like, okay, strike 2 for 2, but let's give it a try. So we are dining and this person comes and meets us, and I don't know, what should we call him? What's the name we should use? Ricky. And
where'd you pull that out?
I don't know, it just came to mind. Ricky Martin. And she's like, he's super handsome. He's also Croatian.
My God, you meet every Croatian in town.
You know what I've been saying to my parents? I didn't date a single Croatian until I was like 30, and now I've dated
hilarious.
5 in 1 year.
That's
and
hilarious.
I've given it a true try.
Funny. Yeah.
I think I'm back to everything else but Croatian. But so she's like, he's Croatian, he's handsome, he's all this stuff. And so he walks up the stairs and he's like Fabio, like long hair blowing in the wind, and he's like this,
God,
like really handsome, like jacked guy, and he's tall, and he's just like everything you would want, right? And I'm like drooling. And I'm like, amazing, great, check. And then, we start talking, we're hitting it off, and he knows how to compose himself, and we're hitting it off. And it's like 20 minutes later, and he's like, I gotta go do this, I'll see you later. And he comes back, we're like in and out of this setup, and he comes back and he's like, I just thought of something. Are you related to I don't want to say her name, but I don't know, like Elisa Caro? And I'm like, yeah, that's actually my first cousin.
Oh my God.
And how do you know her? What a small world. I know Croatian. It's a small world, but
right.
and he's like, you're never going to believe it. When I first moved to America 2 years ago, the first time I went to a bar, I overheard her speaking Croatian. It's such a small world. So I came up to her and I said, hey, I'm Croatian too. And they became friends. And he's like, we exchanged numbers, but then at the end of the night, we both left the bar and we never really spoke again. We lost contact. It was my first, month in New York. I said, what a small world. I'm going to ask her about you. Yeah, great. Awesome. So the night proceeds, I get drunk and I forget to text her. And, we end up getting drinks, this guy and I, and when we have this date and we're hitting it off, we kiss, everything, right? And he's telling me, he's like, I will never forget. He's like, you and we could be this powerful Croatian couple in America.
I love it.
And I'm like,
I love it.
Drooling, salivating. I'm like, take me now. And I'm like,
but
this
did
is
he
what
have
I
a
want.
Porsche?
He didn't have a Porsche,
Okay.
but he was on his way there. And I'm like, awesome, awesome, awesome. So, we leave the date. We're texting. We're talking. We're setting up the second date. 3 days later, I'm sitting on my couch. I'm like, I never asked Lisa how she knows this guy. This is so funny. Let me text her. And I'm like, hey, cuz, how's it going? I met this guy, Ricky something. He says he knows you. Do you remember him? And she goes, hey, cuz, I actually don't have any idea who you're talking about. Who is this guy? So I find him on Instagram and I send a photo and she goes, can I call you? And I'm like, yes, you can. She calls me and she's like cackling. Mind you, she's 5 years younger than me.
Okay.
Not that matters that much, but it's just entertaining, right? And she says, you're not going to believe, tell me everything. And I tell her everything. And she goes, I met him not at a bar. I met him in the Hamptons. He was staying there at a friend's house. I was at another friend's house. We met at a bar, or a party in the Hamptons. Him and his friends came back to our house that we were renting. We slept together that night. And he said the exact same things to me. You and I are going to be this powerful Croatian couple in America. And then it gets juicier. So they leave the next morning, they both go back to the city and they're setting up same exact thing. He set up the exact same restaurant, the exact same day that he was setting up the date with me. So it's serial. And he is setting up the date and they have a few days in between and she finds out. It's always this in between. She finds out from a mutual friend. She ends up asking a friend in Croatia because he had just moved, right? About him, blah, blah, blah. He is engaged in Croatia.
Holy shit.
Promising the girl that he's going to move her over once he makes enough money. This is some fresh off the boat stuff. And he is also married to another woman in New York who's a 40-year-old stripper for papers. And the woman believes that they're in love.
Oh, my God.
So he's two-timing these women in different countries. He's two-timing a set of cousins that he's met in America. So it really doesn't get crazier than that.
That's insane.
So thank God I found out before I went. So then I just never went on the second date.
Right.
And,
because if he hadn't mentioned your cousin or you hadn't made the connection, you would have never known.
Exactly. And so then I ghosted him and I ended up going back to the restaurant for business. This is my friend's restaurant. About a month later. And he said, hey, what happened? When am I going to take you out? And blah, blah, blah. And so this was one of the most satisfying moments of my life.
I'm sure it was.
When,
sure
I said, I'm really not looking to date a cousin fucker. And I think, Lisa's was one Caro hole is enough for you. So let's just leave it be.
God's sakes.
So, I've really been through it all. And that was one of the crazier ones.
It's fascinating to me that someone
would try, right?
Could trick people.
And you told
one
me
person after another.
That right? So he said that we look alike, so that's what clicked.
Right.
But why tell me? Because did you think I wasn't going to ask her and say, "Hey, Lisa, how do you know this guy?" Right? It's almost as if he wants us to know. And then it makes me wonder. I do think that people have fetishes of hooking up with cousins or sisters or all these. There's fetishes you got to look out for. That's a whole other thing in dating.
That's a whole other thing.
Yeah. So.
Wow. How many dates do you go on in a typical month? No, honestly.
I mean, it depends if I've met someone and I'm starting to see them.
Okay. But just
if I'm not
typically.
seeing someone.
Either way.
I would say 3 or 4.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Maybe one every week or 10 days.
Okay.
Yeah, I give it a try.
Okay.
Yeah. But sometimes it's just drinks.
Right.
And it's quick,
you mostly meet people in real life or on dating apps?
Mostly in real life.
That's so fascinating.
And honestly, mostly organically. It happens, again, restaurants, bars, even on the street.
Right.
Sometimes I see a cute guy.
I meet people on the street.
And I go for it too.
Yeah, I meet people on the street. I mean, walking a dog is one of the best way of meeting someone.
Yeah.
I've met many guys on the street.
I come up with excuses. I tell them, hey, I'm a matchmaker. And are you single? I think you're cute. You'd be great for my friend. And then they text me. I'm like, hey, I'm the friend.
You go up to people and say
100%.
that? You're fucking hilarious.
You gotta go for it.
You are hilarious.
Especially in a city like New York. There
My
used to be people coming up to them.
favorite line, only because it actually happened. This was many years ago. This is like 20 years ago. But my favorite line is, "Oh, I'm sorry I was staring at you, but you look exactly like my ex." And that happened to me. This guy looked just like my ex.
And so you said that to someone?
So I said it to him, and I ended up dating him. Because like I didn't
Is that your
realize
fetish?
like no, but like when you say that they're like, oh well, you must be attracted to me if you were attracted to your ex.
You committed to someone that looked like me. Yeah.
But
it's simpler than you think. People get so like overworked about what they should say. I picked up a guy once in a buffet line at a work event, and we were looking at each other. He was behind me, and what happened to be in front of us in the section of the buffet was a large platter of shrimp, and he was looking at it, and I was looking at it, and I just said, "Never can have enough shrimp, can you?" And then now all my friends call him Shrimpy, and I dated him for like 6 months.
Right.
So you just gotta pretend like you're out there with your friends all the time, and then people will be attracted to to your energy if it's meant to be.
That actually, you're helping me. You're giving me like tools because I mean, I'm an outgoing person
You are.
and I talk to people all the time, but it feels different to talk to
A man you're pursuing.
Exactly. Suddenly you feel like it's too obvious or whereas like I would just talk to anyone on the street about anything. Like,
and then you put so much pressure into it, and then something weird comes out of your mouth. I think it's literally just commenting on what you're seeing around you, the way that you would comment with a friend, because then if they're into that, then they're gonna make a move.
No,
too.
and that's what's so great about New York. Like
Yeah.
you never feel lonely. You always feel like you're part of this collective thing. You can do that. You can, like, who doesn't talk to people every day in their whatever journey in New York? Like,
we have that
on
to
the
our
subway.
advantage in this city, where it's normal.
No, and I think that's wonderful, and it does make it easier to meet people. I mean, look at you. You're meeting like a ton of people. But like, I wonder if like for me it's just different because I'm older, Like, I do meet people on the street, and I do meet people in bars and restaurants, but not like the way you do, I'm not commenting on the shrimp platter.
I am just out here commenting on everything and then seeing who latches on,
No, that inspires me.
Yeah.
It does. It inspires me.
Or, for example, one day I was walking home. It's really, I think, this energy that I was talking about a few years ago where I just kind of like let go and was like, I got to live my life and then see what happens. But I was walking home from work one day, and on my block, there was a truck that said knife sharpening. And I said, this is really bizarre for, the Upper East Side. What's going on? Is it a movie set? Is it a killer? What is it? I've never seen something like this before. And so I texted it to a few of my friends, and I said, there was a name, and I thought they might recognize it. I said, you guys know about this? What's going on to my beautiful Upper East Side block? What's happening? And one of my friends, this is why you always gotta, put it out there and talk to your friends because someone will know, said, actually, I've seen them in like Queens, and the guy that runs the truck is really cute. You should go talk. You should go sharpen your knives.
Yeah, it's like a mobile knife sharpening.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so my friend's like, your knives are kind of dull. I'm like, lol. I love that I had to send a picture of my day-to-day to find out. Thanks for letting me know. But so I run downstairs. I'm carrying my knife block down my street for the first time ever, like a lunatic. And I come up to the truck, and I just went for it. If they had confirmed he was cute, and I went for it, and I introduced myself. We ended up seeing each other for like 2 months. And, a little scary dating someone who owns a knife sharpening truck because they have knives at their disposal at all times. But that was also a great example of what we're talking about. I think that, and we haven't talked about this yet, but like, options, and also just being able to like kind of change your mind in the switch of a moment, but also love bombing, which I'm sure you know about.
I've heard about it. Yeah.
Where I felt that was a classic case where it's like, I met this guy, he really valued that I put myself out there. I was obviously flirting, he knew and then it allowed him to then reach out. So then he ended up finding me on Instagram, DMing me, and we started talking, we started going on dates. But he immediately treated me as if I was his girlfriend. It was classic case of love bombing. Texting all the time. It was the good morning, the good night texts, planning when to see me, asking what I'm doing all the time, like all the time. And then it quickly became like, pet names and setting up stuff all the time and blah, blah, blah. And
After how many dates?
After like 2 dates.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it was like that for 2 months. It was like every day and, dying to see you, dying to plan things, dropping off roses at my apartment. Like it was very,
God. Yeah.
love bombing. And I call it love bombing because it's like, instead of getting to know the person, you're already placing them in that position of your partner, right? And instead of taking the time to find out if you actually want them to be your person. And so 2 months in, he flipped a switch and was like, I don't think I can do this anymore.
Oh my God.
It's not meant to be, and flipped a switch and then went from like 0 to 100, right? And so this is something that's definitely happening. I don't know if you've experienced that or if that used to be the case when you were in your 20s and 30s, but
Never.
I think it's just more available
you're
now.
Just like 2 minutes ago, you were inspiring me. Now I'm like, I'm never going to meet anybody.
No.
I'm done. Like, I'm just going to learn how to live the rest of my years alone because what the fuck?
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. So I think that my biggest advice to people dating at any age is don't fall into that. It's so easy to fall into that. And I'm not saying stop seeing the person, but if you've noticed that happening, I think it's so worth, if you want it to work out, it's so worth the conversation with the person.
Yeah.
You don't have to say love bombing, but you have to say, hey, listen, this is going really fast. You're treating me as if I'm your partner. There's so many things I still don't know about you. Can we tone it down a bit? And then if they're worth the while, they'll adjust.
Yeah.
But that happens a lot. And so I think it's just worth identifying and thinking, keeping it close to mind, identifying and then having the conversation. Yeah. As long as they didn't fuck your cousin. So there's that.
Yeah. Almost everyone I've ended up with has been like a friend of a friend or like a setup, not like a blind date type of setup, but like, oh, I have this friend and like there's something about like that mutual like you can kind of trust them.
I love that.
I mean, the bartender didn't know that guy so well, right? He's just like a patron at the bar or whatever. But if it's someone that you trust or someone's cousin or someone's brother, like it just feels like much safer and a much more a better bet,
exactly. So I think it's always worth saying yes.
But like people meet online all the time. Like I know so many people that have met like their husbands or wives online. Yeah. So I don't know. Like I know there's a lot of negativity around dating apps right now, but they still seem to work. Like I don't know what the percentage is of people that meet someone versus people that don't, but they do.
I think it's like same as in IRL dating. Yeah. I think it's a matter of when the person's ready. Same thing. It's like you could be out meeting a million people, but if you're not ready, it's like that cab metaphor again. Yeah. And I think you can be on the apps for years, but if you're not ready, it's not going to happen. But once you're ready and you really put that mindset of like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make it happen, then you end up going on dates and you're more open to it and you end up committing. Yeah. So I think the mindset aspect applies both in real life and on dating apps, but it's just so hard to predict, It's like, and no one hands you a manual. You don't know what to do. It's hard. It's really hard.
And it takes
at any age
so much energy. Yep. Like the energy, like I'm not even talking about the apps. I'm talking about like the texting and then making the date and going on the date and then like the emotional energy of it. Like, does this guy like me? Does he like, sometimes it just seems easier to just like be like, you know what? I don't need this in my life right now. I have a really funny story. I was dating this guy who he was great, like great enough that I had like 4 or 5 dates with him. And he's the one that I ended up being friends with. I really liked him, but he just wasn't for me. He wasn't sophisticated enough. He just, a lot of things about him, he just wasn't for me. But like, I liked him enough, to be friends with him. But it was like our 4th or 5th date, and he lives outside of New York, and he was in New York, and we had this date, and I was kind of thinking like, okay, tonight's the night. Like he's going to stay over, whatever. And the second I sat down at dinner, I was like, I don't want this guy to stay over, and in that moment I realized like, okay, I gave him a chance, but it's not going to happen. Yeah. It's not what I want. And, he went home that night, and then the next morning I worked, and Saturday mornings are my busiest time. Yep. And it was one of my best days ever. And I thought to myself, if he had stayed over, I wouldn't have worked Saturday morning. We would have been having brunch. We would have been like cuddling or whatever it is that people do. And and I was like so relieved. I was like, you know what? Like, this is what I would have chosen, like to work and make money and feel good and whatever. And I know it doesn't have to be one or the other. Like when someone fits in your life in an organic way, you can have both, you know, but you know, I've really been focused on work, and there is something to be said about if you're focused on work, it's really hard to, like, relationships become all encompassing. Like when you're in love, like that's all you want to do. You just want to be with this person all the time and, you know, sleep with them all the time.
Think about them all the time.
You think about it's like you're like in another state of mind. And I just can't afford to be that way right now. Like I'm just too focused on work and other things. So, you know, I'm kind of curious to know where this is going. Like you seem to be like really happy to be on 3-4 dates every month, and you know you have a really good attitude about it. You know, I'm like, I don't know where this is going. Like I tried it. It was fun. It was a great experience. Like I met some really nice guys. But now I'm like, okay, now what? Like, now where is this going?
And I think that's a big difference when we talk about dating in your 30s versus your 60s. I think in your 30s, you still can allow yourself to let it consume your life when you fall in love with someone. But when you're 60, I would assume, right? I'm only speaking from talking with you, that you've already been through that, and you know that you're not going to give in to that, maybe. So it's very different.
That's another difference. When you're young, you're kind of figuring things out together. Like, you know, like, where do you want to live? How many kids do you want? Where do you want to get married? Like, there are all these things that you kind of come together. Like, you're kind of in the same boat.
Can we grow each other's careers? Can we?
At my age, it's more like, you know, do I want someone that doesn't have any money? Like, would I be okay with that? Like, which I would be, but then I'm like, well, can I not travel because he doesn't have any money? Like, there are all these questions of like how this person's going to fit into your life.
100%.
Because you're already established. Your life is established.
Yeah.
My life is established. Like, there's nothing I'm really willing to give up for a man.
Right.
Whereas with you, it's like, okay, like you have a really nice apartment, but like, yeah, you wouldn't mind moving into like a better apartment with like a, you know,
building something better.
With a nice Croatian man.
Yeah, exactly. With a big Croatian flag in the apartment. Yeah.
So like,
that's a big difference. I think.
I think when you're young, you're just more open.
Yeah.
Like I think of myself as an open person, but there are days when I'm like, I don't want a man in my house. Like, I don't want a man, like, moving his stuff in here. Like, where is he going to put it? Like, that sounds awful. Like, I'm not one of those women that's like, I like sleeping alone. I don't want a man in my bed. But a man in my house, like, that feels a little scary to me, you know?
And I think this is the biggest difference, I think, with dating in your 30s and your 60s, because to your point, like my mom always says to me, it's fine that if, you know, when I met your dad, he didn't have one penny to his name.
Right.
But
and
then
it didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
It didn't
we
matter.
built, and now, you know, they're successful.
Potential. There was potential.
Exactly. And so then they had that, and they had that time to really delve into who they were, what kind of, do they align characteristically, morally,
and they grew
ethically.
Together.
And they grew together and they built something. Whereas, so for me, when I meet someone and they're not exactly successful or super ambitious, I'm like, okay, that's fine, that could change. But for you, I can imagine it's like you meet them, and if they're still not ambitious and they're still not successful, I'm not saying hugely successful, but at least figured something out to like maintain and sustain their own life and a lifestyle, then I can see how that's a huge turnoff.
Yeah.
But it's so different for me because it wouldn't be fair for me to judge it that way. Because I'm like, they could still be in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years, they could be a completely different person. Right. So I think that goes back to what we were talking about with like men my age, they don't have anything figured out and they're allowed to, versus for you, that's a hugely different criteria on your checklist.
That's so interesting to me though, because I just figured, well, what I figure is that men your age don't have it figured out, but it doesn't matter. Whereas men who are 60 should have things figured out. It matters if they don't have it figured out, yeah. But I understand from your point of view that it does matter.
Yeah.
Because that's not something that comes with age. That's something it's a personality thing.
Right.
That's who you are. Like, you know who you are. I know who I am. Why would you want to be with someone who's like lost in the world?
Exactly.
Like, how are you supposed to reconcile that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting at this age. I had a friend say to me, you know, a lot of people, their partner is abrasive and, you know, rubs a lot of people the wrong way. And so everyone always wonders, like, why are they dating them? And that person said to me recently, you know, I love them for who I see that they could be one day.
Right.
And I said back, I want to see you with someone that you love for who they are today and who they will be to tomorrow, because that's a big factor in dating. I think you have to prepare. You can't be stuck in the moment. You have to prepare for how you will grow together and what they will be one day. But there's got to be that fundamental, you know, appreciation and love for who they are when you met them, and then who they can be, right? And because you want them to be someone else, you want them to grow. So again, so different at your age, because at that point you can't put that much hope towards who they will be, because you're going to hope that they already are who they were striving for.
And I understand,
40 years.
like, being in transition. I mean, I'm not in transition logistically, but I am still in transition emotionally.
Yeah.
So I understand, like, they sold their house, they're living in a studio
Life
apartment.
changes.
I don't care about that. It's the essence of a person.
Yes.
It's like, are they figuring it out, or are they just kind of like lost and, you know, so like, you know, I guess that comes with somebody who, you know, has the courage to face these issues head on and sort of be brave enough to figure them out and have the motivation to want to be stable again and to get through what their whatever transition, you know, divorce or whatever. But yeah, I think
it's very different. And I think sex is a big part of it too, you know? I think at my age, and then there's the biological and the hormonal aspects, right? Where it's just biological. Men want to, you know, fuck everything they see up until a certain age, but then at 60, maybe that's tapered off a bit. And so I think I find these experiences all the time. Like, for example, another crazy story is I met someone in a cafe. We went on a first date. Very respectful, very polite. At the end of the date, can I drop you off in a cab to your apartment? Sure. So I'm assuming, you know, they're not going to try any funny business. And turns out that their apartment is on the way to mine. So sure, let's bake in that stop. We get to his stop, the first stop, and he says, "Do you want to come upstairs?" And I was like, "No, I'm good, you know, looking forward to the second date." And then he turns and he says, "I'm just going to let you know right now, if you aren't going to have sex with me tonight, I'm probably not going to reach out again."
Oh my God.
And this is a man.
Oh my God.
Word for word. And this is a man who, we go to the same cafe, so we're going to see each other again. This is a man who's successful. This is a man who was polite, who paid for the dinner, who took me to dinner. You don't always get dinner. And then it turned like that at the end of the night. And so I'm bringing it up because it reminds me of, like, there is that, like, sexual hunt that is much more prevalent, I think.
Yes.
And that is more of a focus when you're in your 20s and 30s
It
versus
is.
in your 60s. I would hope. I mean, I know there's people that are very sexual at that age, of course, as well. But I would hope that that's not at your forefront, where you're not going to say to a woman after a dinner date, "If you don't sleep with me tonight, I'm never talking to you again."
I mean, just to say that, knowing that by saying that you would definitely not have sex with him.
It's
like, why not try a better line?
Exactly.
Like, I really think you're come upstairs, blah, blah, blah. Like,
right, like, you're so sexy, you're turning me on,
like
feel my bone or something
the
else.
arrogance of
exactly.
like
Yeah. So I do think that's a major shift as well with the different dating groups.
And this doesn't make you just like not want to date ever.
You know, it does. But then again, it goes back to mindset and just reminding yourself, like, I never want to be one of those people that complains about being single when they're not trying and when all they do is run home every night, you know? So I think that until that point, I think I can't complain if I'm trying, right? So that's what gets me out there. And I just try to keep an open mind. You have to. Otherwise, you're just going to be depressed.
Well, I mean, it's just your attitude about life. You know, you've always had a great attitude about life. And it's just a part of life.
Right.
You know, it's like there are good people, there are bad people, and you're going to encounter both. And you just have to sort of know how to weed through the bad to find the good.
And trust your gut, which is a big thing.
That's a big thing.
Big thing.
It's a big thing.
And I think it's hard, too, because when you're dating, you hear all those stories, right? Of But I didn't fall in love with them until the third date. And
I wonder about that though, because like I always like my experience has always been like on the first date, but do you give people a second chance? Do you give people a third chance? And obviously it depends. Like you wouldn't give that guy a second chance.
No.
But like someone that maybe you were ambivalent about, would you give them a second chance? Do you think that on a second date you might feel differently about them?
So this is something that I've thought about at length. I've gone back and forth many times. I used to feel that school of thought just like you. You know right away or you don't know.
Right.
Like my most recent serious ex, which was 4 years ago now, I felt those. It's like that storybook. You think it's not real, but I felt those butterflies as soon as I met them. So then you're thinking, okay, it has to be that way. But then I think with time I've learned, and you've had more experiences than I have, but with time I realized it's no point in comparing, right? And I don't think everyone that is meant to be in your life is an immediate connection.
Right.
Because you change, people change. And that's, to answer your question, I think you do give, where I've landed is if you're curious about the person, it's worth 3 dates. That's how I feel. That's the advice I would give anyone in New York. I wouldn't shut it off after one date, even if you're, cautious about something or worried.
I did that twice. I gave 2 people I did 4 dates with 2 different people.
That's
amazing.
Thought,
yeah.
And then you'll never look back because then you have that regret. Sometimes you look back and you're like, wait, maybe that guy was worth it, but I didn't try it. You try it and you move on if it's not meant to be.
The problem for me was that those initial feelings of I don't think this is the guy, but I'm going to give him another chance.
Kept persisting.
Got worse.
Yeah. Well, there's
till
your
the
sign,
4th date where I was just like, I need to get away of this guy. I need to get away from him right away. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a big part that factors into it too is that bad boy part where it's I do think, I'm curious what you think, but I do think that you want someone more who's unavailable or who's that bad boy who's not making an effort. When someone's all over you, no matter how much you like them, I do think it's a totally different mindset.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you chase someone who's unavailable because you just want that. It's a cat and mouse game.
Yeah. One of these
and
guys
that conflicts a lot of stuff.
He was too nice.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds crazy.
But then you're turned off.
But it was boring.
Exactly.
It was just boring.
You're turned off.
Yeah. And I am turned off when someone's I'm not, if they're not into me, I'm not into them.
Yeah.
It's really simple. I lose interest. But, someone who's too nice, that feels like something's wrong with me. He was so nice. He was so nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows? All right. Well, Jelena, I don't even know if I'm ready to date. Like I said, I tried, but but we need to find you a guy. We need to find you a guy. If anyone out there has a guy for Jelena,
let's do it. Please.
You've got everything. You're the whole package. And I love you so much. I just adore you. But maybe I love you.
We should do a double date. Father-son duo.
Father-son. Yeah. Come on.
Why
let's
not?
go. I love your attitude about dating. I'm still in that ambivalent kind of place where it's am I not ready? Am I not reading right guys? I'm just trying to figure it out. I feel like you've figured it out. I feel like you're open to everything, which is the best way to be. You're living in the best city in the world. You're meeting people all the time.
Yeah.
It's a question of numbers is what they say.
Yeah.
And the more dates you have, the more likely you'll meet someone significant. So I think, you kind of gave me a little inspiration. I think I'm going to try to be a little more outgoing,
And I respect the whole, if you're not ready, you're not ready, but you're also never going to be fully ready. And the more you dig yourself into that, I don't think I can do it, and maybe I'm not ready, the harder it's going to be. So
I know. I don't want to atrophy. Yes. I want to move forward and be you know what? I'm going to be open to this and I'm going to try new things, which I do with everything in my life.
Exactly.
So it's just an extension of that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it was great to talk to you. Thank you so much for sitting on. Thank you for the wine. It was really fun. Thank you guys so much for being with us today. It was really fun to talk to you, Jelena. Thank you.
So fun.
How can people find you on social media?
Jelena Tequila. And stay hopeful. It's worth it. It's all you can do. What's the alternative? Being upset?
Follow us on social media. It's chelseagirl.nyc and Tales from the Junk Pile. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.